Hi Toastmasters, my name is Digant Borgohain and I'll be your Toastmasters for today's meeting. We have a couple of changes today. I thank to Courtney and Joe Sharp for stepping up and taking up the roles of Evaluator 1 and 2. We don't have any guests, so I think we can go straight into the meeting part. We have two portions of our meeting. The first portion is speaking, and the second portion is the evaluation part. I would like to bring up our grammarian for the explanation of the role and the word of the day.
Good afternoon. My role as grammarian today is to introduce the word of the day, which is to help us utilize additional new words into our everyday language. And secondly, my role is to help evaluate the use of everyday language, the English language, for those who are speaking and those who are participating in the meeting. So the word of the day is euphoric. It's an adjective in this form. It's a feeling of well-being, great happiness, and excitement. An example is I felt euphoric after winning the World Series. Towards the end of the meeting, I'll come back up and give my report.
And this was Ryan Leshaman, by the way. Sorry, I forgot to say your name in the beginning. I would like to invite Stacy Johnson, who's our timer.
Thank you, Diganta. I will be your timer, hoping to keep us all on track. We keep track of the times for our speakers and for our evaluators. Both of our speakers today have asked for 5 to 7 minutes. So when they have reached 5 minutes, they'll get the green card to let them know they can stop talking. At 1 minute and 30 seconds, the yellow card, and at 6 minutes, they will get the yellow card, and then at 7 minutes, red card. For the table topic speakers, I will put up the green card at 1 minute. Once again, the green card means you can stop talking. At 1 minute and 30 seconds, you'll get the yellow card, and the red card at 2 minutes. For the evaluators, you will get the green card at 2 minutes, yellow at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, red at 3 minutes. At the end of the meeting, I will come up and give my report.
Now I would like to invite Chris Neep for humor and inspiration speech.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters. I have to tell you that I have been greatly inspired in the last 6 to 8 weeks. I have gone to a contest for the district about a month ago and got to experience some amazing speakers. I went to the local TEDx conference. Very interesting ideas. Some of them could use the Toastmasters experience to improve on their talks, but they had some excellent coaching. How can we bring that inspiration down here to the club level? And it came to me that we have a decision to make for ourselves. Do we allow ourselves the freedom to fully express ourselves, to fully engage our mind with our audience, and fully be ourselves when we speak? Just on the way over here, I overheard 2 women talking, and their comment was, well, this is Mayo. You know, we have 14 levels of committees to make a decision from. Each one of you, when it comes to your speeches, is a committee of 1. But how many of us allow ourselves to green light any project that we want to put ourselves to? When we make a decision to be creative, we need to become our own committee. We do not restriction for creativity that our work and surroundings put ourselves into. What am I getting at? What am I trying to inspire? I think it comes down to permission. Everyone that has been on stage at a high level in front of a large audience has given themselves permission to be themselves, to accept that everybody there is there to watch them. It is something that we struggle with. It's a self-esteem issue. Permission by yourself is something that I was able to find and grab myself when it comes to speaking my mind. I offer you the opportunity to find your own permission. Get yourself free from your own mind and let yourself go and let us truly know who you are. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. It was very inspiring. Before I bring the next speaker on the stage, I would like to know if everybody got this little sticker chip where you have to select two numbers between 1 and 5, including 1 and 5. I mean, both the numbers are inclusive. You have
There's a couple of slips. It's giving me a lottery. Treat it like a lottery ticket.
Now, I would like to invite Sarah Jenkins, who's the next speaker, speaker number 1, and her topic is Powerball probability, and she has asked for 5 to 7 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. How many of you here have played the Powerball before, or bought at least one ticket? Not everybody. I've only played a few times myself. I'm a statistician, and you don't need me to tell you that the probability of winning is extremely low, so low, but you can't win if you don't play, right? You can't win if you don't play. But what exactly is the probability of winning the Powerball, and how do we calculate that? Fellow Toastmasters, today, I'm going to go through the calculation of that probability, and there will be some math, and I know Stacy Johnson in particular does not like math. Take a deep breath. It's not going to be too. So first, an introduction to the Powerball, if you've never played before. There's 69 white balls, numbered 1 through 69, and you need to select 5 of those. And there's going to be 26 red balls, that's the Powerball, and you choose 1 of those. You need the correct combo of all 6 of those balls in order to win the big jackpot, which recently has been very, very big. Not so big today, but still pretty big. Now, to calculate the probability, you first need to know the total number of possibilities. And you need a little math in order to do that. And how do we do that? There is a formula, and I know everybody hates probability calculations and public formulas even more. But rather than get too worried about the details of the formula, I'll talk about some of the intuition behind the scenes. So first of all, does anybody remember what this means?
Factorial.
Factorial.
What does it mean, like 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1? You keep
Right.
going for all your chances.
Got it. And we're going to talk about that. So that exclamation point is not excitement. So let's start with an easy example. This is the example that's motivating the little lottery we're going to have today. And there will be a winner. So again, if you haven't selected a little ticket in the back, choose 2 numbers between 1 through 5 inclusive. So any 2 numbers. Not the same number twice, any 2 numbers. So suppose we have 5 white balls in a basket numbered 1 through 5, and we want to select 2 of those. We want to know what's the probability of winning this particular jackpot. First, we need to calculate the total number of combinations of 2 from these 5 balls. And how do we do that? Well, if you think about it, the first ball we choose, there's 5 options, right? And then once we know the first option, there's 4 options left. So 5 times 4, and then we get 20 possibilities, right? And here's all the possibilities listed out. This is much easier to do when you have a small number. Does this mean that our probability of winning today's lottery is 1/20? What am I forgetting here? Anybody know? You'll notice that not all of these combinations are unique. The order does not matter with most lotteries, right? So we actually have less than 20 unique possibilities here. And whenever we're calculating combinations like this, we need to take into account the total number of ways you can arrange your set. Here we have a set of 2 numbers, and there's, in this case, 2 ways to arrange each set, 5-4 or 4-5, right? And this is where that factorial, or the exclamation point comes in to play. That tells us how many different ways can you arrange a set of that many numbers. In this case, we have 2, so it's easy to calculate 2 times 1, right? That make sense? Now, we can see then the total number of unique possibilities is actually 10. So we divide the 20 by 2 to get to the number of unique, and our probability of winning today's lottery is 10%. So that means you have a 10% chance of winning whatever prize is in my possibility, which is pretty good odds. Let's look at one more example before we tackle the Powerball probability. Suppose we have 10 balls now, numbered from 1 through 10, and we need to select 3. That's a lot of numbers, and I'm not going to list them all up on the screen. But if we think about what's the total number of combinations we have there. We have 10 balls for the first, times 9 for the second, and times 8 for the third, right? Which is a big number. And then we also will need to adjust that for the fact that there's more than one way to arrange 3 sets of numbers, right? That's the factorial again, 3 times 2 times 1. So we have 720 total combinations, 6 ways that each combination can be arranged. And when we adjust for that, then we have 120 unique possibilities, and your probability of winning this type of a lottery would be a little worse than the one we're playing today. 1 in 120. This isn't too bad, is it, Stacy?
Oh, I am already lost.
I tried. Now back to the Powerball example. Now that you know the structure of how to approach this type of a calculation, how many possible sets of the 5 white balls are there? Remember, they're numbered from 1 through 69. You need 5 of them. So we have 69 options for the first, times 68 for the second, times 67 for the third, 66 and 65. And I'm sure we can all do that math in our head. So there it is for you. It's about 1 billion. And again, there's going to be a lot of different ways you can arrange 5 numbers, and it turns out there's 120 ways of doing that by using factorial, again, 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So 120 ways of doing that. And when you take all that into account, you have about 11 million unique combinations of those 5 numbers, which is a lot. Does this mean that the probability is 1 over 11 million, or what else do I need?
The 6th ball.
The 6th ball, we need to get the Powerball, right? The Powerball is numbered from 1 through 26. You only get 1 of those, so we need to multiply 26 times that total number of combinations from the previous slide. Hopefully I haven't lost all of you yet. So your chances are very, 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 very small of winning the Powerball, about 1 in 292 million, which isn't very much. But keep this in mind. The probability of winning for somebody who bought a ticket is infinitely higher than the probability of somebody who doesn't just play. Because if you remember from math, if you divide by 0, it's okay? Got that, Stacy?
That's my takeaway.
Mind blown.
All right. So I did a random selection in my office before I came, just so that I could keep things moving along. And the winner is, everybody's got their number written down, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh!
Just one. Anybody? One
You
winner?
have 35?
Just one?
Ah.
You
I have
will
34.
be the lucky winner of 1 Powerball ticket to play tonight. I think the drawing is at 10, 10:30, something like that.
Go for
And
it,
if you
Ryan.
win, I relinquish all money to you. It's okay. I'm not going to sue you for the money. I'll give it to you.
Oh.
Split it 20 ways.
So good luck on that. But really, in conclusion, we know that the likelihood of this ticket winning you the jackpot, you might win $1 or $2, is so low. In fact, you're more likely to be struck by lightning while drowning. So save your money. And good luck tonight.
Yeah.
have 1 minute for the evaluation. I think we passed 1 minute. Thanks, timer. And I really like the last part of Sarah's speech, that the chances of someone winning the lottery who bought the ticket versus somebody didn't buy the ticket. So it's pretty high, thank you. Our next speaker is Joe Oppold. His title of the speech is Winter Games, and he has asked for 5 to 7 minutes.
Thank you. So Toastmaster. Hi, Neuters. Hello. I'm going to ask that you raise your hand. How many of you like to downhill ski? Okay. Now, keep your hands up. How many of you are or were military? Okay. I guess that leaves me. I'm a disabled veteran, and I'm going to tell you about the Winter Games. It's the National Disabled Veteran Winter Sports Clinic, held at Snowmass, Colorado. I've been going to such a sport now that it must be 17 times, because it's fun. I feel it's fun. But you gotta realize that I'm a disabled veteran, and you have to realize that other people have amputee, they don't walk, some of them are blind, we have TBI and PTSD, and you're thinking, what are these guys gonna do? And somebody thought up this Winter Games, and it's great. I'm going to talk to you about 3 basic things. First, the winter downhill skiing. Second, the different opportunities that you can do that are fun. Other activities, not downhill skiing. And then the third would be what can you do when it's dark? You know, you can't obviously go to ski when it's dark out, because that won't happen. Going, my first with the downhill skiing, you have to imagine that and close your eyes and picture you're nestled in a majestic peaks of the mountain, the Rocky Mountains. And if you haven't seen the Rocky Mountains, drive past Denver. Here they have, they give you an ski instructor. One, if you're good like me. Otherwise, they will give you as many as 3 or 4 team members that will help you along. Now, that's only good for 2 days out of the 5 weeks. So what do you do when you want to? You sit there and twiddle your thumbs? No. The other opportunities are the tour of Aspen, the Sulphur Springs, which has water slides that go into the 104 degrees into the pool, fly fishing, curling, snowmobiling, ice hockey, kayaking, bowling, and rock climbing. These are all excellent opportunities that the disabled veterans can do and will do. Now, what happens when it's dark out? Well, they have different dances or comedies. In fact, I have started writing a book out at Aspen. And so it was me that's getting me going as well. Now, I encourage you as a volunteer or donations or whatnot to get out there to see this. I have this euphoric feeling that I would guarantee that you'll have a great time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joe, for your nice speech on Winter Games. Reminded me of my downhill skiing day. And we'll have 1 minute for the evaluation. Thank you. Topic, export. The portion of our speaking section where we have to speak at the moment without any preparation. And I would like to invite Bethany Brown as a talk master.
So, some of the most euphoric moments in my life usually involve food. So, now that it's coming time to be cookout season, I guess I would like to hear from somebody. What is your ideal type of spread? Like, what is your table like? What would you want to see? What would you want to eat? What would be perfect? So, do I have any volunteers? Do I have to pick somebody? Nobody likes food? All right, let's go.
Fellow Toastmasters, I also am a food aficionado. I love food, any kind of food. I don't discriminate. Cookies, fine cheeses, really anything bring to the table. I'm okay with that. In the summertime, I have very stringent requirements at my cookout. Has to have ice cold beer at all times. Must have this. Also has to be a hot dog with grill marks specifically on it. I don't want like a warm hot dog. I want the grill marks just seared right into the hot dog. Ketchup and mustard only. Don't waste my time making me pass the relish table and the onions and the lettuce or the chili cheese or whatever. Ketchup, mustard, hot dog, bun. Also must have something to chew. I need something crunchy at this point. Something that's gonna stick to my fingers, so when I hold that beer, it's gonna get a mess all over the place, and I'm gonna find like the nearest picnic table to wipe my hands off on. Very stringent requirements. This is the only time of year that I will actually eat hot dogs. In the summertime, that's it. Well, I lie. It would probably also be at a baseball game where I'm gonna pay like $7 for that same hot dog that my husband would make, you know, any time of year, but very specific. The ice cold beer is a must. If I'm missing any pieces of these puzzle, I'm done. I'll sit there and just say, they don't have beer. Thanks.
So the other thing is, I'm not from this area. So going back to last week's meeting about traveling. So I'm a little bit more familiar with Rochester, but I'm not as familiar with Minnesota. So is there anybody here who has a bit more understanding of what to do in Minnesota that's maybe not as well known? Joe?
I'm going to tell you something general about, I'm going to support Chris's comment about expressing yourself wherever you are. And I have a slogan for you to remember about that. Those that matter don't mind, and those that mind don't matter.
Okay, so going on with that theory a little bit.
Can I ask the question again?
What?
Never.
Go ahead, I guess. I don't know. I had another one picked out that went along with the previous question. So, people who aren't from this area, how about that? If you moved here from somewhere else, it doesn't necessarily have to be Rochester. If you were from even somewhere on the other side of Minnesota. I'm from Delaware, so we have our own customs, we have our own things that we like to do. I like to go to the beach. We were only an hour away, so weekends I used to go to Assateague. Beautiful beach, white sand. So I got two. Hey.
You.
I'm from India. I guess you didn't know. I'm not from Minnesota. I didn't know what I would do here when I moved from Los Angeles, which was my second stop. First stop was New York. So both towns were similar to Mumbai, where I lived. So I didn't see any different, but when I moved here to Minneapolis, it was 2008 April, and it was still snowing. And my employer called and said, there is another opportunity that you had interviewed for. You got selected in New York. You want to come back? I said, you know what? I'm enjoying this now. I'm going to stay here, at least for a month. I did. I didn't do anything in that month except just walking because I didn't even drive. So I used to walk about 3 miles from my suburb to my workplace in the snow with a normal boots. I didn't even have winter boots or something. And sometimes when the bus is missed, you actually go everywhere.
Oh, very hard.
Which I have now, not citizen. But what I do in Minnesota is that I'm a runner. So I will just take my bicycle or car, go to some trails that I don't know, and I'm gonna hit like 10 miles, 15 miles, 20 miles. As much as my legs can go, I'll go. My favorite vacation spot in Minnesota is Duluth. I love that lake. I don't like to go inside because I'm not a swimmer, but I like to just dip my toes in it and just sit there. Sometimes I go towards Maywood. There is a waterfall. I go running, sit down there for about a minute or two while listening to some audiobook. Wonderful. Duluth, Douglas Trail here on the Douglas Town. That's also wonderful. Foster Run Lake. I go for there for my triathlon practices for swimming, biking, running, and all. Wonderful place.
Thank you so much, Becky. This was our extemporaneous talk section. I'm so sorry. We'll move on to the evaluation part of our meeting, and I would like to invite Hawa Lu, who is going to take over from here.
Fellow Toastmaster, this is the evaluation portion of the meeting. So first we'll hear speech. Evaluator gives evaluation of today's prepared speech. Then I will give my general evaluation of the overall meeting. So each evaluator will speak 2 to 3 minutes. Our first evaluator is Joe, evaluating Sarah's speech, powerful probabilities.
Well, Sarah, you certainly found a way to entertain us. I think you can see the audience was having a wonderful time trying to figure out what you were going to end up saying. And the first, not going to talk about the first question yet, but the second question is, what methods did you use to support your thesis? Obviously, you used a lot of calculations, but in the end, I wouldn't say you supported Powerball at all. I think you looked the opposite of support. Anyway, you sobered us up about the likelihood of Again, it asked about visual aids. Well, your visual aids were arithmetic and PowerPoint, and I don't think there's any other way to cover such an issue. So I think your visual aids were quite appropriate. Clearly, you knew what you were talking about, and you had researched it very thoroughly. So there's no question about that at all. So you were very good at telling us all about PowerPoint. The only question was, how appropriate was that to the audience? And that's a question that I'm going to have trouble dealing with. Because, for example, I've never even used PowerPoint. I didn't even know what PowerPoint was. And it was a little bit hard for me to connect to your talk. But it was obviously an awful lot of people here had and were enjoying what you had to say. So, good for you. You did a nice job with a very tough subject and a very novel approach. Thank you.
I like Sarah's speech. It's really, you could be a teacher. I wish I have this kind of math teacher. It's really very easy to understand your method to learn from math in the Toastmaster club meeting. Next, we invite the second evaluator. Courtney, who is evaluating Joe's speech.
Fellow Toastmasters, I'm here to evaluate Joe on your second speech, organize your speech. The first item on here is the speech value, and is it interesting or meaningful to the audience? I thought it was very interesting, but I found it to be more meaningful. My brother is a veteran, and he spent 8 years in Desert Storm, and fortunately, oh my gosh, fortunately he was not disabled. I thought it was very interesting to hear about activities that are specifically geared towards those who have been disabled while protecting our country. I thought it was very meaningful. The preparation for your speech, I noticed that you had note cards with you, but I didn't necessarily see you reference them a lot during your speech. You really seemed to be able to speak on this topic intelligently without them. So perhaps what you could do is set them off to the side so they're there for you. I do this a lot, kind of as a crutch, so you'll be able to know when you're thoroughly researched a topic or you've rehearsed it and you don't need those. The organization, was very clear. I was very linear. I was able to follow your speech, given downhill skiing, other activities and things to do during the dark. I would recover, because I will certainly kill myself if I skied, so, but it was nice to see that there were other things that you could do for those of us who would not be able to ski. The opening, I loved the opening that you skied. I thought that was very appropriate. Again, with the body and the conclusion, it flowed very seamless. You went from one right to the other. I was able to follow. I was, from what I observed from the audience, everybody else was able to follow you. For your conclusion, I would only suggest to perhaps recap the 3 points one more time. I thought they were very obvious during the speech, but I know during the conclusion that a lot more people prefer, and it really helps tie it all together when you do mention those again. Your transitions, as I mentioned before, they were very seamless. I found myself paying more attention listening for them because they were so seamless. So they weren't as obvious as I've seen in other speeches, but to me that spoke as how well you were prepared and how well those transitions went together. A couple things that you could have done differently to make the speech more effective. I noticed you used a few abbreviations like PTSD and TBI. I knew what one of them was, but I didn't know what the other one was. So I would perhaps explain them, and then you could say it's commonly referred to as such and such. And again, you didn't need your note cards from what I could tell. You were able to do this without them. I noticed that you had some fillers and some restarts. You repeated yourself a little bit, but it seemed to be when you were a little unsure of the direction you wanted to go next. But as soon as you knew what you wanted to do, it was beautiful. You were able to just speak frequently. Thank you for sharing your speech with us. I thought it was very entertaining.
To refresh my memory, what next step? It's my evaluation or being what? Okay, now we what? So, okay.
Ryan.
To give us a report.
In my report of the word of the day, we had a couple uses. Joe used it once, Bethany used it once, and Daganta used it kind of sarcastically. He still used it. With regards to the word and potential use, I thought of a potential use with our factorial, our exclamation. We could then maybe tie it in that way with regards to Sarah's speech. When I was evaluating and trying to listen closely, one of the things that I realized was the difference between conversational language and written language. It's very different if you think about it. I think we all understand and know that, but it was impressed upon me as I was listening. For example, typically when you see something written, it would be obviously you can't ... In hearing some of the speeches, it was said or pronounced you can't, obviously. So if you visualize that on paper, obviously, comma, you can't ... as opposed to you can't, comma, obviously, right? It's reversed. So not that that's necessarily incorrect in conversational language, but if you were to write it down, it would look awkward. I see a couple faces. What are you talking about? Anyways. A couple of other items. There are wonderful opportunities we can help with, would be to correct the incorrect or misuse. There are wonderful opportunities that we can help with. So that word "that," I remember, I don't know what grade I was in, but I just remember red marks on my paper, that, just crossed off. It's not necessary, it's redundant, right? So there are wonderful opportunities we can help with as opposed to there are wonderful opportunities that we can help with, right? That doesn't need to be there, it's repetitive. So I just had these red lines in my head, scarred my high school years. Another example, I guess, a side tangent, are our use of pronouns. I hear my 3-year-old, examples, where is her? Or we're playing hide and go seek. I are here. I am here. So our use of pronouns, obviously there's no real issues here with the use of pronouns, but when we talk about conversational versus written language. I would just encourage folks to readily listen to the differences, because there are some key differences.
Next is timing report. Well, first everyone has strengths and weaknesses, and one of my weaknesses is paying attention to what I'm supposed to be doing when something's really interesting. So I sincerely apologize, Sarah. I started the timer and then I didn't look at it again until you finished your speech. You went over, but I didn't give you any cues at all. So you were at, I was really busy. I was writing numbers down and little exclamation marks. It was a great speech. I'm sorry I completely, and then immediately after that, I forgot to time our evaluation minutes, but I got better after that. I remembered starting after that. So your time was 7 minutes and 48 seconds. You had asked for 5 to 7 minutes. Joe, you spoke for 5 minutes and 59 seconds, and you had asked for 5 to 7 minutes, so excellent. Moving on to our table topics, we had Courtney speak for 1 minute and 19 seconds. That was right on. Joe was uncharacteristically, I can't think of what word I want to say. Brief. 20 seconds. 20 seconds. And then, is it Krishna, right? Krishna spoke for exactly 2 minutes. Woo! All right. Now, on to our evaluations. Joe spoke for 1 minute and 53 seconds, and Courtney spoke for 2 minutes and 48 seconds. Okay. Oh, and then I was going to do this thing. I was going to figure out a probability, but I didn't. We had 4 people who were in time and 3 people who were under time, and I thought, well, I'm going to do the probability of that, but all I got far was to write down a 4 and a 3. Down the right track.
Real world application.
The speaker prepared pretty well, and it's a very colorful presentation, and we learned lots of things about picture painting. And the evaluator gave evaluation in colorful languages and good suggestions. Our inspiration today has really inspired me. Give yourself permission to be yourself. So that's the thing I try to remember and keep in my mind and try to be myself. We got the meeting right on time, a little early. That's all for today for my evaluation portion.
So I have the schedule for next meeting. Next Wednesday we won't have any meeting, but we'll have a meeting on June 8th. And the Toastmaster is Blueshard. Grammarian is Amit Ghosh. Timer Sarah Jenkins. Humor Inspiration Master Kaylee. Speaker 1 Gregory Taylor. Speaker 2 Shelly Henry. Topic Master Costa Bhinge. General Evaluator Krishna. Evaluator 1 Brian Washburn. Evaluator 2 Andrew Sulha. Do we have any announcements from the officers?
I would like to augment the comment about no speech or no meeting on this June 1st. However, I want to tell everyone how euphoric I was to survive giving a speech in the Layton Auditorium 2 weeks ago. When I was familiarizing myself with that space, I was quite honestly afraid I was going to faint. And I wondered, I couldn't be the only one to do this. And so talking with Mary Peters and a couple others, came up with the idea of having an opportunity to get a bunch of clubs together and present in the Layton Auditorium. So the week of Memorial Holiday, this coming Wednesday, from 6 p.m. to approximately 7:30-ish p.m., we're going to have a speechathon. I had no idea what a speechathon was until it was suggested that we have a speechathon format. What that is, it's for clubs that have a lot of members and not as many opportunities to speak as they would like. So they have a speechathon, and that is as many speeches as they can handle in a meeting time. But there's no written or there's no oral evaluations. The speeches have to be project manual, and all the other speakers are writing evaluations for the other speakers. We will also have a table topics portion. So just speakers and table topics. Stacy, or SJ, I got that confused. Sarah is going to be our timer, and Mary Peters, our current area director, is going to be our table topic master, and I will be the Toastmaster. Hopefully I will not be in today, but I have a few flyers for you to take back with you, and I hope to see more. When I looked, we still had 2 spots open, and I'm using volunteer spot. If you don't have a link in the email that was sent out, just get in touch with me, and we already have Courtney as one of our speakers from our club. As far as I can tell, they are one speaker from each club, and it was open to Division F, but open to anybody to attend. Any other questions, just send me an email, and look forward to seeing you soon. Yes, there was a opportunity today for a third speaker. For example, I believe Krishna had said that he would be open. What ideally would happen is the Toastmaster for a meeting would get in touch with his team ahead of time to find out what the times were. If there is an option, if there are no, of the 2 planned speeches, if there are none over 8 minutes, then there is an option for a third speaker. The ease of planning is then found in the humor and inspiration role. That person then no longer is giving a humor inspiration. They move into evaluator number 3. However, it is best, we're going to keep trying to do that. The notification needs to go out before Monday noon, before the meeting, the week of the meeting. So Monday morning, but Monday afternoon. By then, I think the humor and inspiration person is well on their way to developing what they are. We are going to be developing a document to help walk a person through the 2 styles, and hopefully that will make it clear. But just for everyone's knowledge, that is the rough draft. And again, if there's any questions, give one of your officers a jingle and they will be happy to help you out. Any other questions? Any other announcements that I have forgotten? Okay, thank you very much.
We are well on time. We don't have anything else to do, so we conclude today's meeting. Thanks.
Okay. So you're gonna play the Powerball.
Oh, I am so sorry. I'm just gonna stand here and